Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Brian and you are watching Game Brigade. And today we're going to be talking about my month in review for the month of January and partially part of February, since we're like halfway through the month of February. So let's just get right into it. So first off, I wanted to apologize to everyone for delaying uploading. I haven't uploaded in almost 2 weeks. We had a family friend visiting town, and to be honest, when I have people visiting and I'm hosting, I just don't have time to work on the channel as much as I would like to, which is funny though, because he actually wanted to be in a video. We just didn't have time to film. So we'll make that happen in the future, Kyle. We'll get you on the show and talking about board games, because we actually had some pretty cool ideas about maybe going to like Target or something. We were thinking like have us each try to like buy 3 games and see who comes up with the best 3 games based off viewers' opinions and whatnot, just random stuff. We were thinking of stuff like that, and it was great to have him here. We played a lot of good games. So basically on the month in review, I like to go back 1 month and look at everything that we played, or talk about games I backed, talk about topics of the week, topics of the month, since it's a monthly show. I would love to do a weekly show, but I don't know if I have enough content to do a weekly show. So we're going to talk about that. So what did I buy? Not a lot. In fact, I got this in the way. Let's move this over here for now. Let's slide this over. So this was a light month for me, and technically one of these purchases was a trade-in, and that is Radlands, the Kickstarter deluxe version. I got this because I traded in, or I returned the Christmas gift that I got, which was the Dune detective game. Just had a lot of people in the comment section telling me that the game was not very good. I looked up more on BGG, and it just had very, very poor ratings. I didn't want to take a chance with such an expensive game, so I returned it. I was able to pick up Radlands. This was the last copy my LGS had, so I was happy about doing that. I'm a little bummed though, because I didn't get a chance to play this while Kyle was here, and we like to play 2-player games quite a bit, and that was one of the reasons I actually picked it up. But it's ready for whoever wants to play a 2-player game with me. I also picked up more Marvel Champions that I was lacking. So I've got 2 here, but that's because I've already unboxed and sorted and put away the other 2, which was Valkyrie and War Machine. So I've got Vision here, and then I've got the Hood scenario pack. I'll get these sorted and put away shortly. My organizer for Marvel Champions is getting dangerously full, so I might need to reassess my organization, or how I even started not sleeving all of the cards, because if I get some multiple duplicates, for example the energy cards, I'm just like, do I need to have 40 sleeved energy cards of each type? So because I need to figure out a way to make it so it's not so thick. So that was what I worked on recently, getting that sorted and whatnot, but I need to think about maybe reorganizing that. I also talked about in the hotness video that I did, which I really enjoyed doing the hotness video, the top 10 games at that time on BGG's hotness list. Do you guys like that kind of video? I really enjoyed it because it gave me an opportunity to look at games beyond just crowdfunding. And one of those games was the Lord of the Rings card game. And I talked about in the hotness that I was very excited to probably pick this up and play it, because it was a system very similar to Marvel Champions. I really enjoy Marvel Champions, and they did retooled some of the rules and whatnot, so I was excited for it. What's funny about this though, without me knowing, is I actually already owned the Lord of the Rings card game. So I've got 2 core sets sitting here. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do with either one of these secondary ones, because I don't really need both. The nice thing about the revised edition core set is that it came with 3 ofs of pretty much everything. So I have play sets of everything in this game. Now I don't think it hurts to have more, It never does because I can build potentially more decks if they use similar overlapping cards. But definitely unfortunate. And how I knew it, so I was sitting there organizing Lord of the Rings, and my organization system in here is not the best. So I need to keep working on it. Um, the what they give you for the interior insides of this is just not the best. So I kind of was organizing them just by type because that seems like the best way to do it. And I'm sitting here looking at my board game shelf that's behind me that you guys can't ever see. And I noticed that the Lord of the Rings card game that I owned, that I have always looked at but I never actually played, said what did it say, LCG or something, which stands for Living Card Game, which is what this is. And I'm like, LCG, Living Card Game? What the heck? So I pulled it off the shelf, and what do you know? Same frickin' game. So, and this came, in my defense, this came in that collection that I bought. And there was a few Lord of the Rings games that were in that collection. And I always like thought about playing this game and breaking it out when my friends were here, but never did. So that gets me. And it actually looks unplayed. Like some of the cards are still in there's bubble wrap and whatnot. Not bubble wrap, whatever, the cellophane seal. But that's all I got. So Lord of the Rings, I got 2 copies of it now. So that's what I bought. Not a lot of exciting things happening. But I also, as I've been talking about, we need to have a campaign to play our games. And so that really means reducing the amount of new games we're bringing in, because there was a time where I was like not able to even play. I was bringing in more games than I was playing, and that's a recipe for disaster at some point. So that was that. So let's talk about what I played, because it's going to kind of go in line with the topic of the week. So we're going to go back to January. We're also going to, we'll talk about a little bit about February's plays. So starting with January 1st, I don't know if I talked about this in December. Maybe I should have gone back and looked. But January 1st, technically New Year's, we played Cthulhu Death May Die. That was my first time playing Cthulhu. The friends I was playing with, they loved the game, but they were stuck on this map. They've actually failed it like 2 or 3 times prior. But the 5 of us were able to win, and I super enjoyed it. It was a good game, not as dynamic or exciting as I wanted it to be, because I felt like I took like maybe 3-4 turns. It wasn't a lot of. I didn't take a lot of turns before we won. Which I would like to have played my character a little bit more and took advantage of some of the abilities that I unlocked. But I still enjoyed the system, and I enjoyed that we were getting stronger, the way we were able to unlock certain abilities. So that was good. We then played some more Search for Planet X. I got a few plays of that in. Really enjoy Search for Planet X. I'm not a big deduction guy in terms of like Sudoku and whatnot. Those are not the type of games I historically have ever been drawn to. But I enjoy Search for Planet X. Again, I haven't won it though. And the last time I played where Adam won, I lost because I read a rule wrong. And what that means is not the rules of how to play, but the game will give you known rules of how the galaxy is outlined. So it'll say Planet X is not across a gas giant. But if I decide or a dwarf planet or something like that. But if I read that as is across, for example, it'll throw off your complete deduction. So one little mistake can throw everything off. And that was what happened the last time, which was funny, but I would like to try to win because I feel like I got it down. We played a lot of Final Girl. I tried to do as much as I could prior to the Kickstarter launching. So I did a review of Final Girl as well as the Should You Back for Final Girl. That is now done, the season 2. If you guys would like my opinion, maybe I'll talk about it right now. Final Girl. Because I talked about this in review, but talking about the season 2 Kickstarter, whatnot. I really like Final Girl. I got the all-in for the first season. I would really like to have Final Girl Season 2. It's just a lot of content. And so I did not back Final Girl 2. If I were to get it, and I'm still like thinking about it because of FOMO, but I would really like the Alien one. I would really like the Insane Asylum one. and I would really like the Thing one, which I've talked about. Those three ones really entice me. I can do without Little Red Riding Hood. I think that's worthless. That's a throwaway. And the Intruders one is probably fun, but it's not like one that I need. It's not like one I have to have in my collection. But the other three would be really cool. I almost wish I could sell like maybe 2 out of my season 1 and just bring in the ones I like and just keep the collection kind of condensed. But it just doesn't seem practical because of how it's made and whatnot. Unless I found an individual who wanted to just trade specific ones. Because that's something I want to, in Final Girl, you have so much playability just in the 5 that I have on my shelf right now. There's already so much playability. I don't really think I need the other 3 ones, but I'd rather have them over other ones that I have because the themes don't really align with me with those ones. So that's unfortunate, but for right now, I'm not back in Final Girl Season 2 at all. Maybe I'll pick up, if my LGS gets individual boxes, maybe I'll end up picking up 1 or 2. We'll see. We then played Betrayal Legacy. That's why I've got this out. We actually finished Betrayal Legacy, so we're going to just combine all the Betrayal Legacy gameplays. We finally finished this, and it's funny as I went back and watched my my unboxing of this game and how excited I was to finally get this through. But we've played it without spoiling the gameplay because it's a legacy game. I'll give you my my review score. And if I were to score this game, it would be, and it's hard because the actual game is like a 4 out of 10 or like a 2 out of 5, somewhere like that. It's an okay system. I had fun playing this because of the group we had. We were laughing, we were having fun, but almost like we were having fun at the expense of the game. So yeah, Betrayal Legacy, we finally finished it, got it done. So we're finally glad. We're going to be moving on to the next game for my Legacy group, and that's going to be King's Dilemma. So hopefully this is good. If it's actually good, I'll probably do an individual review for it. If it's not good, we'll probably just do something like this, where we just talk about why I didn't like it in a month in review. But hopefully that will be good. So that was a key one. So we got all those games played. We played a lot of Rogue Angels, but that's now canceled on Kickstarter. And unfortunately, that game canceled because I feel like the publisher had a really weird expectations for their funding goal. They had it really high, and the campaign wasn't as well laid out as I would expected. I wish him the best of luck when he relaunches that campaign, but he definitely has to have an understanding of what is he trying to accomplish, and with the amount that his funding goal was, with like a lack of actual minis, it was like cardboard standees, but you're looking at $300,000 funding goal or whatever. It was very weird. Didn't line up very well. I played a game called Ryozen, something like that. And that was with a publisher. Played it one time. And this was interesting because playing with a publisher, normally they will kind of guide you the first turn, let you know how the game is played. If you're taking an inefficient action, maybe let you know why you're taking inefficient action so you understand what the economy of the game is supposed to be. This one, the publisher just let me flounder. She was brutal, and she went for it, and she definitely crushed me. So the game is good. It's a little worker placement-ish game with a little bit of interaction between the players. I only played a 2-player game, so I feel like there'd be more interaction with a 3 or 4-player game. But it was not technically my cup of tea in terms of what I would buy myself on my collection. But I would like to. I would play it again if someone asked me, like, "Hey Brian, do you want to play Ryzen with me?" I say sure. We played Twilight Imperium 4th edition, and this actually had King of Average joined us for this one. And I think this was King of Average's first time playing Twilight Imperium, so it was great to play with him, and it's actually going to lead into the topic of the week. We're going to finish this up real quick. We played a bunch of Lord of the Rings card games, me and Kyle. We played Scythe. We played Nemesis Lockdown. We'll talk about Nemesis Lockdown more in the next month's episode. especially because I'll probably have my Nemesis locked down by then. And then we had a bunch more Betrayal Legacies. So let's talk about the topic of the week, really revolving around competitive games and how we respond to certain situations or stimuli. Because we had a situation, not like a bad situation, but with me, I felt like, and I was not very impressed with how I handled the dynamic, even though maybe other people would say I handled it fine. It's an interesting take. So in the game, we had players. I was very close to winning the game, and the players on the table, realized it. And so I said 5 versus 1. I'll be honest, Michael, King of Average, he didn't really attack me or do anything affecting me, but it felt like because he wasn't helping me, like defending me, he was still against me, if that makes sense. If you're not with me, you're against me. Especially because I had 4 other players actively playing against me, colluding in terms of like talking together how they're going to want to attack me, and to basically ensure that I could not win no matter what. And after about like in these turns near the end of the game of Twilight Imperium, the turns can take a long time. So for like the last 2 hours, which was like a turn and a half, I have basically the whole table. Michael, I know you technically didn't attack me, but still, if you're not with me, you're against me. Conspiring to go against me, literally beating me back all the way back to my home system, where I was basically neutered. I had nothing to, I couldn't do anything at that point to actually win the game. And that turned into a situation of king making, which really bothered me because we had a player who I was in direct conflict with him most of the game, and they moved off Mechatol Rex to allow another player to score it, to eventually win the game. And I wanted to bring that topic up of king making and how do we respond to the table playing against me. I tried my best to be as accepting of the game because I like competitive games, but I was definitely getting short with people because I was getting annoyed. And I want to know what you guys do in situations like that, or how do you respond when the table is actively working against you openly? Like you're sitting there and they're all talking about you and how they want to beat you. How do you guys respond to that? And what is a good way to respond to that? I didn't yell at anyone. I didn't shout at anyone, but I definitely got quiet, and I definitely took my turns very quickly and just was like, I was being sour. I was being a sourpuss. And so I want to know how you guys respond to that. And second, in competitive games like this, at what point do you say king making needs to be discouraged? Where a player is actively not trying to win the game, they're allowing someone else to win the game. They could use the excuse, "Oh, well, we're an alliance." But don't you think you should still be trying to actively win the game for yourself and not someone else? We've had situations with Twilight Imperium where we actually had someone, I would say, trolling the entire time. And when you have a game that has such an investment of time, 8 to 10 hours of time for multiple people, having one player go out of their way to hurt the integrity of the game is not very good. But this is different with king making because obviously maybe they were playing normal and halfway through they decide they want to help someone else. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion on that. Personally, I don't like king making. If I could ban it in all instances of gameplay that I have, I would. We've had another situation. Actually, king making happens a lot in Twilight Imperium because the time before that we had a king making situation, and it was mostly because one of the players felt like they were frustrated because they got shut down from winning. So instead, they decided to do everything they can to help their friend win. And so we joke with our other friend Mark that his gameplay will always have an asterisk because he won because of the king making, and he doesn't like that because he believes he would have won regardless. But it doesn't matter, man. You got an asterisk now. So that's it. That's topic of the week: kingmaking and how we respond to competitive games when the table is actively going against you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. The final thing we're going to talk about is what I sold. And that's because every time in this section during the podcast, during this episode, I sell nothing. But we actually did sell stuff this month. Sold quite a bit for over $300 in product. So the first thing we sold was the Everdell collection. That was the Belfair, Pearlbrook, Spirecrest, and Everdell. So those 4 boxes. I sold that for $175. Not the greatest sell, because I definitely lost money on that product, seeing as how they were all collector's edition versions, and the collector's editions were selling for $100 to like $75 a piece. So I definitely lost money there. But once the Everdell box collection was announced, no one could sell Everdell for close to what they bought. So I was just glad I was able to sell it and move on. Puzzle Strike, I sold that for $10. I had it listed for $20, but I dropped the box or something. So I did something and I damaged the box. I split a corner. So, the box went from perfectly pristine to damaged. Dropped it by $10, sold it. Sold Mistonic School for Girls. That's a Kickstarter game I never played, and it was from that collection I bought. Got rid of it. Game of Thrones, the board game. We talked about this, that I was looking to get rid of it because it just was a hog on my collection, and I never had an interest of ever pulling off the table in 5 years, or off the shelf in 5 years, so it's gone. Beowulf, I was literally going to donate that game, sold it for $5, pretty happy about that. And then Descent 2nd Edition with the Lair of the Worm expansion. I sold that for, I think, $90, the combined two, the base game plus the expansion. And I don't know why it took so long to sell that, because the expansion by itself was like $90. So I was basically giving people the core game for free, if you're willing to buy the expansion. And I would have, if I could have, if it wasn't all mixed together from the person I got it from, sorted it and sold them individually, but it was all a jumbled mess. And so I just said, you know what, the headache's not worth it. $90 will be a good profit if I can sell it, which I did. And I got rid of that. Very happy about that. The final game I sold was my copy of Uprising. I mentioned that on the last video that I had an additional copy of Uprising. It's behind me right here. It's my first copy. And I got rid of that. So I was happy about selling that one as well. So good month of selling. Actually, I think it's closer to $400 in sold product. So pretty good. Good month. Allowed me to free up space on my shelf, and also purchase some new games. Unfortunately, one of them was a waste because it was one I already owned. But that's that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a rambling episode, but that's the point of it. It's supposed to be like a podcast. Don't really need to watch me. Just put me to the side and listen while you work on something else. That's usually my intention. And maybe something will come up that interests you. So if you guys would like to see more, let me know in the comment section down below. Leave a comment and ask something, whatever, do something down there. Tell me about the topic of the week. That's the question of the day. All right, boys. Talk to you later. Also, girls, I about 3% of you watching. Like to bump that up. Those are rookie numbers. Let's get those numbers up. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.